Alright, we're going to try to tell this video again because people keep coming in and out of the house. So, a lot of people ask me, what is my appeal to the paranormal, or how did I get into the paranormal and investigating? I guess you would have to trace this back to my parents, but we'll just start with my parents. One night, 2 in the morning, my parents both hear heavy footsteps walking up the stairs. Like, clearly. They're heavy sleepers. Both of them woke up in the middle of the night. They looked at each other and they said, "What the fuck is going on?" So, next thing you know, in the door, there is a little girl. And they both looked directly at her. It was a little girl. There was no denying it. And so what does my dad do? But he gets up and he's like, "I'm going to go put my sister, who was then alive, who is now since deceased." They thought they were going to go put her back to bed. So my dad gets up to go get her and she disappears, completely disappears. It freaked my parents out so bad that they called the cops. This was Saginaw, Michigan. And I don't know if you know about Saginaw, but it's a rough area. So they thought someone had broken into their house. The cops come and they do an investigation. They look all over the house. My sister's dead asleep in her crib. No one is there. Not only that, but it was winter and there were no footprints in the snow, nothing leading up to the house. So what they saw was 100% unexplainable, but they heard and saw it very clearly. I heard this story from a child, and I feel like this got me and my sister both into the paranormal and both that and horror movies. So we had vivid imaginations regardless of the fact, but that doesn't explain my interest in the paranormal. So my sister turned 16. I was younger. I was maybe 12 or 13. We would go exploring abandoned buildings in Chicago, looking for evidence. But there was one that was very notorious. It was called Garrett Durson Mental Hospital, also known as Maryville Center for Complex Children. This building and all the buildings have since been demolished. So the first thing we do is we're taking pictures of windows, and we get what you would say, I guess, would be mist, or they call it ectoplasm in the windows. It was cold, but no one was smoking, and it wasn't cold enough where our breath would show up on film. So I would consider the pictures that we took unexplainable, and these were pictures taken on disposable 35 millimeter film. We did not have digital cameras back at this time. But it gets better, okay? So we had a tape recorder, not a digital recorder, a tape recorder, and we are at the playground for this mental hospital that was shut down since it had been shut down for a long time. We were asking questions, getting not much. Finally, I asked a question and I said, "How can we help you guys?" And very clearly, not even a whisper, not even a raspy voice, I get a voice that said, "Take care of Caroline." There was no denying it. It was clear. There was no one around. This was an abandoned asylum. It said, "Take care of Caroline." You couldn't miss it. So we continued on. We weren't quite brave enough to go all throughout the building because obviously Chicago, there was bums, there was drug addicts, there was different things. Since that moment, we had been to different places. Ed Gein's old place in Wisconsin, H.H. Holmes' place, 50-something Street in the South Side. We had gotten multiple EVPs. Not a lot I can recall or have evidence of because my sister has since passed away. And that material went to whoever, I don't know who it went to. She lived her own life, and we didn't really stay much in touch past then because I lived all over. But we'll move on. I started feeling paranormal activity. I would say I was right after the military. I worked in the old guard. I picked up a lot of dead people coming back from the war, from Iraq and Afghanistan. My job was to do their funerals. My job was to pick up their caskets. So I was around a lot of death all the time. And I would have very, very weird dreams. Sometimes I wondered if it was the dreams related to who I was picking up. But we'll fast forward a little bit even more in the sake of time. I started having an attachment. I was seeing orbs, balls of light, in the room after I left the army and moved in with my parents for a short amount of time. I started thinking people were playing tricks on me. So I would close the blinds in the room, so there was no way for any light to get in the room. But I continued to see these orbs around the room. So I started trying to get it on camera. I was unsuccessful. After that, my dog would sleep with me in the bed. His name was Murphy. He was an Irish Terrier, and he would shake in his sleep. So I always thought it was him shaking in his sleep, but one day I woke up, and Murphy wasn't in the bed, and the bed was shaking. And your mind just starts to think, like, what could possibly be making this happen? You start to try to create logic out of what's happening. But you can't. Something was shaking the bed. It wasn't very heavy. It wasn't very, like, violently, but the bed was fucking shaking. I got up and I looked everywhere. I looked under the bed. I looked all over the bed. My parents were sleeping. I didn't know how to explain it. Furthermore, continuing on, I started to see these distortions in the air. The only way I can describe it is if, let's say you're looking through saran wrap. Okay, everything looks funny. It's distorted. It looks weird. So I would see these distortions in the air. And they would hover. Like, it wasn't like they were, like, moving fast. They would just, like, be in the air. I would put my hand in these distortions. And as I would put my hand in the distortion, I would feel cold. And also, the hair on my arms would stand up. And I just remember not being scared, not being worried, but just being like, what the fuck is going on? This happened occasionally, maybe once every week or two. It was very clear. I could look right at it. I could see the distortion in the air, but trying to catch it on tape was very challenging. Very mentally sane. I have my issues, but I'm not crazy. So fast forward, I met a girl named Christy. She took me to Texas. We lived there in San Antonio, and we started seeing a black dog out of the corner of our eye. And sometimes I would have my feet up on the ottoman, and I would see this black dog run under my feet. And as that would happen, I would turn to Christy, and I would say, did you just fucking see that? And she would say, it looked like there was something black running under your feet. So we saw this black dog for ages, a long time. It wasn't like it happened just right, like occasionally. It happened all the time. Me and Christy split. I moved back to Chicago. I got with my kid's mother. And occasionally we would continue feeling a dog jump up on the bed, which, as you all know, if you are dog owners, you cannot miss a dog jumping up on the bed. It is very much clear. It is very much unmistakable. Moving forward, I would go to sleep. I would be tortured in my sleep. Sometimes I would be laying in my bed, and I would feel things touching my face. And I remember thinking I was imagining it, but then sometimes I'd keep my eyes kind of open, just like slightly open, and I would see little sparks touching my nose, touching my face. I could see little tiny sparks. And there was absolutely no reasoning for it. There was no one in the house. There was nothing. What creates sparks on your face? Furthermore, I used to be a cigarette smoker. I remember going in the garage. There'd be a can of pop sitting on the desk or whatever it was. I would see tick, 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 tick. I would hear sounds on the can. And when I would look at the can, I would see the can moving. And I could hear tick, 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 tick on the can. And I remember I'd jump up and I would run, like terrified. But that's not even the worst. This carried on for 3 years or more. It might have even been more than 3 years. The worst part is when it all came to a head. And this thing kept bothering me. And I remember saying, if you don't stop this, I'm going to blow my, And out of the TV speaker, I heard what sounded like a human making a noise, like a shotgun noise. And I immediately remember just crying, just bawling, running to my parents. This is back when I had gone back and forth between places to live. And I had said, I heard something make a noise. I don't know what to describe it. I don't know what it was. And my parents thought I was crazy, obviously. I thought I was crazy. But it was happening. I was sober. I have no mental health issues besides like depression issues and stuff, which obviously are apparent when you're having things like this happen. But I just wanted to take a short video on why I decided to get into this, because I've experienced this my whole life. Not only that, but I have this ability where I can look at people without even really talking to them and know about them. Almost like know their intention, whether they're good or bad, or know whether it's someone I want to be around or not. I don't even have to talk to people sometimes. Not saying that I'm always right, but a good amount of the time it seems like I am. So there's many more stories. We're already at 12 minutes here, so I'm gonna cut this short. But this is why I decided to explore the paranormal, and this is why it's become an obsession for me, because there are things that are unexplained. There are things that we can't back by reality or any scientific method that could explain it. We have to continue searching for something that would explain things like this outside of something like mental illness, which is not the case with me. I'm not lying. This is real. I saw all this. This all happened. Anyways, it's a beautiful Saturday. I hope you guys all enjoy your day, and I'll try to start making more videos like this with more stories, because this hasn't even scraped the top of the iceberg. I have so many more stories and evidence to share with you guys. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Evidently Paranormal, and signing off.